Welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday, presented by Delta Media Group, where we develop software that will open the pod bay doors when asked. So today, we are going to take a look at lead settings. Now last week, I think it was last week, we went over notification settings specifically. So this was, this is a page that covers all of the settings that pertain to any notices that you'll get by the system. Regardless of whether those are specifically lead notices or not. Now this lead settings page includes the lead notification settings, but in addition to that, it includes a variety of other settings that have to do with how leads are handled and what leads are created for, and just kind of customer interaction settings. So we'll take a look at that page as a whole because we have added a few more options to it so you can see how those work. So first off, to get there, I'm going to click on this settings link up here in the top right. We'll just click that button. That takes me to my settings page. And then here I have a tile for lead settings that will take me into my lead settings. Keep in mind that there are a variety of settings that are hidden on this page by default. So you can use this search settings tab or field up here and type it in, and it will narrow the settings down or bring up any hidden settings that match what you type in. So we'll close that out. Also, if you wanted to get to this lead settings page, you can use this quick actions box up here in the top left. You would just type in lead settings and it would come up in an autocompleter where you could click on it and go through to the page. And then lastly, if you are on DeltaNET 5 instead of DeltaNET 6, you would get to the lead settings page by just clicking on leads over here in the side navigation and then just going down to settings. So I'm going to go ahead and click on our lead settings tile here, and we will just start going through the settings. So first off, we have the broadcast availability setting. Now this is if at the company level the broadcast system is turned on, so there are broadcast leads going out and you want to opt out of receiving those. The best example here is the one we display that says if you're leaving on vacation so you wouldn't be able to handle those leads anyway. It is a good time to opt out of those. And the thought is that you would go here, opt out temporarily, and then opt back in when you get back. But you can use this to opt out of those broadcast lead opportunities for any reason. You would just check the box and hit save, and that would opt you out of broadcast leads. And the next setting we have here are the text message short codes. What this is for is, again, this is something that has to be turned on at the company level. If it is turned on, what it allows your customers to do is text a code to this 79842 short code number, and then they will get back a text message that will have information on it depending on what code they texted over. So what I would do here is I would say, okay, we have listing, which is really multiple listings, we have detail, and we have open house. So I would create a code for each of the three of these. So I'd say Harley's listings, details, and open houses. Or open house. That's all the characters it'll let me use. And you can see it does a check to make sure those don't exist. Now by putting those in, what the system will do is if a customer is standing outside of one of my listings and I have this up on a sign that says text Harley's listings to 79842 to get more information, what would happen is the customer would text that in and they would get back a text message that would have a link to the website that would basically show all the properties closest to their current location. Now there's another one for details. So for details, it'll send them a link not to a map search page that shows the listings around them, but rather a link to the specific detail page for the listing that is closest to them. So the idea is they would be standing by a yard sign that has this information on it, which would be in front of the listing. So if they do text from there, it'll know that the closest listing to them is the one they're standing in the yard of. So that's the link to the detail page they'll get. So it's just a nice convenient way that a customer can pull out their phone, send in a text message, and get back more information on the property that's right next to them, or the properties around them. So this is just a map search centered on their location, or the properties around them that have upcoming open houses. Again, this opens up a map search that will be centered on their current location, but instead of showing all listings around them, it'll just show listings with upcoming open houses. So just a few different text message options that they can send out to get back more information about what's around them. Now the next thing you can do here is you can have the system notify you whenever one of your text message shortcodes are used. And that's what this setting here would do. So from here, you can choose to get an email, a text message, or both every time somebody uses one of your shortcodes. So go ahead and close that out. So the next piece we have here are the zip code settings. This again pertains to whether or not the company has the broadcast lead settings turned on. If they do, and they're choosing to use these zip code settings, what it'll do is the system will include you in broadcast notices when a lead comes in on a listing that matches one of your zip codes here. So if you have a listing that's in one of your zip codes, you'd have a chance of getting that broadcast opportunity. This is where you define what zip codes you cover, thereby defining what listings you want to receive broadcast opportunities for. Now next we have requests on your own listings. It is possible for you to opt out of requests that are below a certain price on your own listings. So if you have a listing that is, say an $80,000 listing, but you only want to get buyer requests on your own listings if they're over $150,000, for example, I could go ahead and check that box, and I could put in a value here of $150,000, and now it's going to allow me to only get requests if the price is over that particular price. And then as it says here, I can also set this to 0, so basically I would say I don't want any of the leads on my own listings. Or any of the buyer leads on my own listings, I should say. The next one we have here is an opt me out of setting. Again, this setting will only be available if it's turned on at the company level. But if it is, you will have the ability to opt out of AVM leads. So those will be leads that come in through the AVM tool on your own website. Or you can opt out of any leads on your own website. So if you didn't want to receive any of those leads, you just wanted them to go off to other agents, you would have the options here to opt out of receiving those. Now next we have the automatic home finder settings. So what this will do is, just as it says, it will copy you on any emails that are sent to your customers from the automatic home finder. So the idea would be if a customer saves a search and they're getting these saved search emails every time new listings come up that match their search criteria, if you have this option checked, you'll be carbon copied on all those emails. Now the next one we have here is for Market Watch reports. That is exactly the same setting as above, only it's for Market Watch reports instead of home finders. So you have any customers that are signed up for those Market Watches, this would ensure that you get carbon copied on all of those Market Watch emails that go out to them. Now next we have here are the AVM Door Knock settings. So this allows you to turn off door knock leads from the AVM system. What those are is if a customer comes to your website and they put just a property address into the What's My Home Worth box on your home page, or if they go directly to that AVM page, put the address in there, it'll take them through to a valuation page for their property. What it also does is it creates a new lead that just has their property address on it. So we call it a door knock lead because it doesn't have any other contact information. So if you wanted to reach out to them, you would have to either send them a physical mailer or actually go and knock on their door. Hence, we call it a door knock lead. Now, if you don't want to receive those leads because you just don't have a plan set up to handle those or to reach out to those customers, then you can check this box and that would disable those leads so that they are not created when a customer first just goes and enters their property address. You'll still get a lead if the customer gets to that page, and once there, they go in and fill out one of the contact forms or fill out the Market Watch form on the AVM page, so you'll still get a lead if the customer does provide contact information. You just won't get that initial lead that is just a property address. As most of the people using that system do just enter a property address and see their valuation and kind of move on. Now the next piece we have here are the email and SMS settings. Now these are the same settings that exist in the lead notification settings page that we took a look at last week. So here you have the ability to set alternate addresses where you would want to get your lead notifications, or even multiple addresses. So if you wanted your lead notices, instead of going to your public email address, to go to a different email address and then maybe an assistant's email address or a team member's email address, you can put multiple addresses in here separated by commas. So I would just put a comma here and then email to, and you can just separate those by commas and put as many as you need to there. That way your lead notices go to more than one place if you need them to do that. Next, this is where you can control your default signature that goes on all of your kind of autoresponders and things like that. So not only does it go on the autoresponders when a customer is assigned to you and they get an autoresponder that goes out on your behalf, but this will also be the default signature on things like email blasts or e-cards, or even lead processing replies. So those are all some different places where this will go, and this allows you to customize that so that you can show some different things in here. And you can see we have a full WYSIWYG editor here, so if you wanted to put graphics or links or anything in your signature, you are able to do that. Now the next piece we have here is you can convert the social links into icons for the HTML portions of the email. So if you did go over here and say I wanted to add a Facebook link to my email signature, there we go. Now I'll just grab my Facebook and say insert link, and you can see it drops in the icon. This is kind of a legacy setting where if you did have the URL laid out instead of the icon, the system would automatically turn the URL into an icon and a link like that. Now the next piece you can add here is you can put in phone numbers. Now this is an upgrade only feature, but you can put in your cell phone number if you want to get text messages whenever you have a lead notice. You would just click add new number, put your phone number in there, and then you can hit a button to get yourself a test message. And it's a good idea to do that just to make sure that it is working the way that it should. But once you have your number in there, you just hit save. Any of the save preferences buttons will all save it. And then in addition to getting an email, every time a new lead is assigned to you, you will also get a text message. Keep in mind here that you can add more than one. So if I have team members or assistants that I also want to receive text messages there, I can just hit add new number, and then I can put in additional numbers here. Now the next piece we have are the email form options. So this gives you a few different ways that you can decide kind of what is required on some of your different email forms, and you can also control some of the virtual showing options here. So first off, you can decide whether you want to require the phone number or the daytime phone number on your contact form. The same goes for the My Portfolio sign-up forms, so these are just the different forms on the website. Now for the showing request form, in addition to requiring the daytime phone, like the other settings, you can also choose if you want to hide the virtual showing options, if those options are made available at the company level. So all the virtual showing stuff has to be turned on at the company level, but if it is turned on, you'll have the default virtual showing options, so these are the ones chosen by the company, kind of checked for you by default here. But if you know that you don't want to accept a FaceTime virtual showing, then you can uncheck that, and that removes that option from your detail pages when the customer is on your website as opposed to the company website, so that they don't have the option of requesting a virtual showing via FaceTime. So you can control which ones of those are available there, or you can hide them all altogether. So we'll close out that one. Now the next one we have here is the Share My Leads options. So this is also typically a team-related setting, but the idea here is that if you have other agents that you're working with and you want to share your leads with them, you can share your unprocessed leads. So a lead comes in and you haven't processed it yet. You can choose agents where those will be visible to. Or you can go down here and you can choose processed leads to share. So the idea is that if you're sharing all leads with them overall, you have to share both different lead types. Otherwise, once the lead is processed, so let's say we'll take Andy Agent here, and I'll hit share, and that moves him over here. So now I know that Andy Agent has access to my unprocessed leads, and what that means is when a new lead comes in before it's been processed, Andy Agent will be able to see it. But once it's processed, because I'm not sharing my processed leads with him, he will not be able to see it anymore. And I can go the other way. Let's say I want to process all of my leads personally, but I want other members of my team to be able to go in and access those leads and correspond with them after the fact. I could do the opposite. So I could remove Andy Agent from there, and I could add him down here. I will add Amy Agent because it's one that I see toward the top. So now Amy Agent would only have access to the leads after they've been processed and not before. So I would process them myself, and then they would be able to correspond with them after that. Or alternatively, you can obviously go in and you can share both at the same time. So those would be people that have access to all of your leads both before and after they've been processed. And I'll just select them and click remove, and that removes them. Also keep in mind that I can click through here and I can grab more than one. So I can share with multiples at once. And the same thing to remove. Also, the next thing we have here is the My Portfolio and Home Finder lead settings. So these settings will determine whether or not a new lead is created that would need to be processed, again, depending on lead settings. Whenever a customer goes to your website and doesn't make a request but just creates an account or saves a search. So a portfolio account would mean they just went in and they chose to sign up for an account, or they saved a property. Say they saw a property that they liked, so they clicked the heart to save that, and they created an account that way. If you just want them to have an account, but not really a lead that needs to be processed, then you would have this unchecked, and then it won't actually create a new lead for those. So their account will still exist, you'll still have access to it in here, but it won't come up as a new lead that you would need to go in and mark as processed. The same goes for My Portfolio home searches. The only difference here is that this would be an account that was created by saving a search. So I went to your website, I ran a search for properties that I'm interested in, and then I hit the save button to save that search so I could get notifications. With this unchecked, that won't result in a lead that'll go to you that you'll need to actually go in and process. But like I said, it will still create an account for them, so they'll still get the notifications, they'll still be able to log into it, save properties, save searches, all those things. And you'll still be able to go into their account through the DeltaNET and see their history, see the kind of properties they've been looking at, things like that. Now the next piece here are the My Portfolio Save Search and Save Listing change notifications. So this determines whether or not you'll be notified when a customer that is assigned to you goes in and makes changes to a saved search. You can see adds, changes, or deletes a saved search. So with these checked, when they go in, if they make any of those changes, you'll get a notification. Also, you can be notified when a customer goes to your website and saves a listing. So that is what this second checkbox is for. Now next we have the ability for you to go in and edit your custom labels or add additional labels. So these are labels that you can attach to your customers just for organization within the DeltaNET. You can go in here, you can create custom labels, you can change the order of these, and that'll be what order they appear in the drop-down menu for those. You can hit the delete button to remove some of these labels if they're not useful to you. You can hit edit. That allows you to change the title or the color associated with that label, or you can add new ones altogether. Now anything you add here just becomes a label that is selectable for customers. These are not the same as the pipeline system labels. So the sales pipeline manager uses its own labels that are defined at the company level. These would just be your own labels for your own customer organization. And then lastly here we have the brand new settings. These are customer specific settings. The first one here, default the create birthday event for customers to checked. So what that'll do is create an event on your calendar for your customer's birthday if they do have a birthday in there. So if we check that, that'll default that create an event option to on for all those customers. Next we have send a weekly report to customers of listings they have viewed that have had a price reduction. So what this will do is it keeps track of all of the listings that a customer's viewed when they're on your website, and if there's a price reduction in any of those listings, it'll send a notification out to that customer every week just letting them know that there were price reductions on the listings that they've taken a look at. It's just another way to kind of engage with them and notify them that there are changes on listings that they've shown interest in. Now next, it will automatically create a saved search for customers based on their activity. So what this will do is when a customer goes to the website, when they visit a listing detail page, if this setting is activated, the system can automatically create a saved search for them based on a property that they've viewed. It's kind of a quick and easy way to get them to sign up for a saved search and kind of start that correspondence going with them. Now, one thing of note here is that it does say it'll only happen once per customer, which is a good thing. That way, if they don't have a saved search, it can set one up for them automatically. If they already have one, it's not going to set up new saved searches over and over again as they bounce around the website. It's just going to set up the one. And then next, we can have the system automatically create tasks based on the activity or based on your activity and your customer's activity. So you can see it labels out here exactly what it will do, but it will create follow-up tasks for customers when certain activities have taken place. And you can kind of look through these to see what each of those activities are. But if you wanted the system to do that for you, you would just check this box and then hit the Save Preferences button over here, and then that would save those preferences so that those would automatically be set up for you. There we go. We had a bit of a delay. So you would have those checked and hit any of these Save Preferences buttons, and that will set that setting for you so that those tasks are created automatically. The only other thing of note about this page is that all of these Save Preferences buttons save all of the settings on the page. So if I hit Save down here at the bottom, even if I've changed things in 3 different sections, hitting Save will save the changes in all of those sections. So all of these buttons up here are more for convenience. So if you're halfway down the page, for example, and you make changes here, then you don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom to hit Save. You can just hit it here. So there you have it. That is the lead settings page with our additional settings and hopefully some clarification on what a lot of those settings do. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, feel free to send an email into support@deltagroup.com or give us a call. And we will be happy to help you out with whatever you need. So thanks a lot, and I will talk to you again next week.